what is musical form in modern-day music? We can define form as the purposeful organization of music. So, what does that mean? Well, when we talk about form, we are talking about the composition's general shape perceived by the listener. To get a better understanding of all this, let's talk about how we break down and label music. We start with the three principles of form: repetition, contrast, and variation. Okay, so repetition. This is familiar material. We have heard this before, and we can label this music as capital A. And then if the music is an exact repeat later on, we would label it as A again. That's a capital A, of course. The musical form may have multiple letters, and any one of them might repeat in the music, and if it's exact, we say, oh, that's a repetition. I've heard that before. Easy enough, right? Have you ever listened to the English folk song Greensleeves? That music is a two-part form we refer to as binary, and we label that as AB. What that means is that the overall form is AB, and we're using capital letter A and capital letter B. Now, you can further break that down into the smaller A and B phrases. Here is that breakdown. We have an intro, A, B, B. Then there's a transition. Then we have A, B, B. And then there's another transition. And then we have A, B, B. And then we get to the outro. Now, what we're talking about here in terms of labeling with the alphabet letters, we're talking about capital A's, and in this case with binary, talking about the two-part form with a capital A and a capital B. All right, so where do we go from here? How about variety is the spice of life? Well, maybe it is, or at least it's a cool phrase. In music, the variety comes from what we refer to as contrast. It's that something different. Listen to a song like Simple Gifts. This is a shaker hymn, or you could also listen to the Raindrop Prelude by Chopin. If we were to label those compositions, we'd say, that's ABA, our three-part form we call ternary. Now, there must be an A section before you get to something contrasting. So, contrast in the form would start at B. Of course, from there, we can go to C, D, E, F. You know, if the music is a multi-letter form like Rondo, which would be A, B, A, C, A, or A, B, A, C, A, B, A. Why am I getting faster? Just having some fun. Or how about ABACABA? A, B, A, C, A, D, A. All right, a little fun there. Now, if you listen to the Raindrop Prelude by Chopin, you will hear that the A section in the beginning and the end. So the A section happens in both the beginning of the composition and the end of the composition. But I need to emphasize the middle of the piece is much darker and very contrasting to the A section. All right, so I think the simplest way to understand the last principle in the three principles of form, this last principle we're talking about variation, remembering that our three principles of form are repetition, contrast, and variation. And what we're doing here is talking about the three principles of form, and then actually, very sneakily I might add, getting to the 5 favorite musical forms basically intertwined within the three principles of form. So, our 5 favorite musical forms we talk about as being, strophic, binary, ternary, theme and variations, rondo, and we're going to get to all of them at some point here, but kind of the head fake here and all the fun. So when we look at repetition, contrast, and variation, and now we're at the fun one, variation, really all you have to do is listen to the French folk song called Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. You know, I'm so tempted to sing it, but I'm a terrible singer, so I will leave that to your imagination of actual good singing in the imagination. Now, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart heard this on his travels, and he wrote a piano composition based on Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. This is a great example of what we call a theme and variations. Variation in music, it's familiar, but there have been some slight changes or alterations. In the music, we label this as A, so the A is the theme. And the A or the theme, this is our main melody. Now, when we have A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, etc., those are the variations. So again, variation is familiar. You know, we've heard it. You know, it's been changed a little bit. There's alterations. And we're having this, the form being as first you need the A, your main theme or melody, and then you need the variations of that, you know, main theme or what we call the melody or the main melody. So, you know, we hear variation in music and it's like, you know, I feel like I've heard it before. It sounds different, I'm just not sure. I'd say just listen again, and when you get that vibe or feeling, you know, you might just be in a variation. It could be a drastic change, though, from, say, a major key to a minor key, or it could just be a change in the density. And I say it could, but it could be a big change in the density, specifically the density of rhythm. And that might throw you off at first, and then, aha, it hits you. It's like the light bulb effect, and now everything is illuminated. All right. We can't leave out our good friend strophic form. I mentioned strophic earlier. In strophic, the music stays the same and the text changes. Some examples that you can listen to would be the Brahms Lullaby, hymns, carols, folk songs, and patriotic songs. If you were to break down the musical phrases and the form in the Brahms Lullaby, you'd get an A, a big letter A. Okay? If you wanted to further break down the music and text, you would get a big A for the music, and then a little A, B, C, C, and then another big A for the music, as the Brahms Lullaby would typically repeat, and then a little A, B, C, C, again, for the text as we're labeling the text, you know, A, B, C, C, both times. Remembering that music stays the same, but the text changes. Before you listen to the song in English, though, check out the original version in German. It's calm, soothing, and all around relaxing. Awesome. Where are we going to go now? Well, how about we take a look at the song Under the Bridge by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Originally a poem, and now a masterpiece, Anthony shares his struggles openly and touches all who listen. The meaning and the story behind the lyrics for many artists have a visceral connection. And might I add that the guitar playing at the beginning and the end of, you know, Under the Bridge by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, awesome. Here is the most basic form of the song. We have an intro, guitar solo, John Frusciante throwing down one of our most well-known guitar riffs ever written. Man, wicked cool. We get to verse 1 after that, Anthony, vocals, we've also got some guitar playing there. Next, there's a transition. This is where the drums enter. We have Chad Smith, and we have some guitar chordal downbeat kind of holding through there. After that, we're going to get to verse 2. Anthony, of course, singing, got guitar and drums doing their thing. we're going to get to another transition, and Chad Smith on the drums adds a little more spice with the snare drum rim clicks. We have this guitar chord downbeat holding through. And then now we get to the chorus. I don't ever wanna feel like I did that day. Take me to the place I love. Take me all the way. Oh my gosh, I'm a terrible singer. I'm so sorry to have to sing that to you badly, I might add. But hey, I can sit here and say, I don't ever want to feel like I did that day. Take me to the place I love. Take me all the way. My bad singing aside, that's the chorus, but it takes us intro, verse 1, transition, verse 2, transition, and then we finally get to the chorus. Let's roll with it. We hear the chorus for the first time, we get to a transition, and it's the Yeah Yeahs by Anthony. Now, the drums continue, of course. Drum continues the groove. Guitars are more active than the previous transitions. You have John on lead guitar, Flea on bass, providing really smooth transition material. Now, we're going to get to verse 3. We've got Anthony doing his vocals. We've got drums, guitars. It's all happening. And then comes another transition. Now, in this transition, you got drums playing, we got some spice happening there on drums, snare drum rim clicks, guitar chord, downbeat holding through, we're getting that happening. We get to the chorus again, and I won't sing it badly again, but back to the chorus. I don't ever want to feel like I did that day, take me to the place I love, take me all the way. All right, now we get to the bridge. So we have Chad Smith with the drum set lead in playing a fill, and the drum groove, basically opening up. We get the ride cymbal instead of the hi-hat, along with snare and bass grooving hard. You got Anthony on yeah, yeah, and then there's some kind of vocal noodling on the bridge. Now also, if you listen closely, you can hear some killer stuff played by Flea on bass, and man, John is laying down some wicked, amazing flavor as well. Now, after the bridge, I'd say there's a little bit of a transition there. You've got a drum lead in. You then hear vocals say one time. Then we have the secondary chorus. This is with the choir. You have some vocal noodling by Anthony, and we're about to take it home. It's the outro. We've made it to the outro. We've got after the secondary chorus and the vocal noodle by Anthony, you have John Frusciante on lead guitar, and you got Flea bringing home some amazing bass, and the song comes to this very smooth, calming, just beautiful, beautiful ending to Under the Bridge by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So let me give you a few side notes. It would simply be bridge versus a transition. Okay. So a bridge really is a transition, and it connects two sections of a song. In modern day times, we use this synonymously in popular music, which works totally fine. I'd take it a step further and say that if you want to break down the song into further detail, you could use transition for smaller connectors and the bridge for a longer connections, or a transitional passage. In classical music, this gets interesting because we will use transition for short, medium, or long phrase connections. And sometimes, in the same composition, we will use both bridge and transition. There's not really a wrong way to do this. Just listen to the music, and when you try to figure out what's going on in the music, put in some details that make sense to you. Here's another account of backing vocals, probably one that you've heard before. All right, so while recording, Rick Rubin had decided that a choir was needed, and John told him that his mother sang in a church choir. And then we've got, I guess a quasi-quote, or as close as I can get to here. Basically, John's mom came in with her church group, sang the background vocals at the end. This is from Flea. And Flea's like, it was trippy seeing all these smartly dressed, middle-aged women up there singing Under the Bridge downtown. So Yeah, there you have it. This is the form basics on Under the Bridge by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And really, that's going to wrap up musical form in modern day music. I hope you had a great time, learned a lot about form in terms of classical form, modern day form, and then bringing down the house with the, Under the Bridge by the Chili Peppers. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Professor Ron. Enjoy your life, enjoy the music, and I'll see you in the next one.